Hey guys, it's here bringing you another video, and welcome to a Challenger Spectator. We're watching ZYB. We've watched before. I can't remember exactly who he is, but he is a pro player of some description. If you can remember who he is, please do say below. But he basically, this season, like, took over US solo queue. So level 1, they try to get like you could call it a cheese strategy of going in the bushes near 5 people, but the Kai'Sa does survive. But why are we watching Graves? Now, I will also just quickly move my microphone a bit closer. And by the way, for those that are wondering, yes, I'm still feeling very rough. This video actually might be coming out before the official explanation. Unfortunately, Queen Pleb tested positive for you-know-what a few days ago. And I yet have not tested positive properly, but I think my body is absolutely fighting it off, and I feel dead. So, yeah, it's been a bit rough. Obviously, around Christmas time, I don't think we're going to be able to do Christmas with my family type of thing. So it's a bit of a bummer. But yeah, so why are we watching Graves, though? I want to play Graves. I think I've made it very clear. I'm probably going to be jungling more in the upcoming season. And I'd like to play Graves. And I simply cannot get this champion right most of the time. I think I've played probably roughly 10 to 20 Graves jungle games. And in those, I would say probably about 3 to 4 of them have gone well. The rest of them, I'm not feeding. I'm not like going 0-10, but I'm just not really doing anything. So what I want to do is watch ZYB. Obviously, I kind of know how strong he gets. And I'm just curious of how that happens. In a challenger game where obviously everybody's really good at the game, how does he get very fed? Now, one thing you cannot ignore, and it's one thing that I think adds to Graves' difference, is Graves himself has no hard CC. So usually when you want to play Graves jungle, you usually don't blind pick it. You pick it in circumstances that you're not going to be hurt of having no hard CC to gank. And what does that mean? Well, you'd want things on your team that provide the hard CC. Because if you're ganking mid lane and you don't have hard CC, your mid laner doesn't have hard CC, it's going to be really hard to actually get a gank off, because that's usually, let's be honest, how most ganks go, is you get someone CCs it and then you both jump on it and boom, you get a kill. In this game, Teemo has no hard CC, so I would imagine Graves, and we'll see if it's true, I imagine he's not going to go top lane that much unless Fiora is really overextended. Mid lane is a maybe. It's a Cho'Gath who has both his Q and his silence, very useful in certain circumstances. And then for bot lane, yeah, some decent CC. You've got Jin W that can be obviously triggered off himself or others, but you've also got Heimer grenades that can stun. So honestly, not too bad. Oh, my throat is really hurting from doing this commentary, by the way, but I'll press on. So there are some okay lanes for the Graves to gank, and I think maybe that's where sometimes I do go wrong, is I do gank lanes that don't make sense for Graves to gank. And that is just usually because you need to go to a lane most of the time that has CC. Now, that doesn't mean, like, you know, this Graves cannot gank top lane and cannot gank for the Fiora. And here it is. So the Cho'Gath was actually going aggressive on the Camille there, by the way. Perfectly... oh, sorry. Perfectly used his W to delay his Camille E, so it didn't give her enough time to escape. She didn't even use flash, by the way, so yeah, she just straight up died. Obviously, very quick respawn time. So she uses her teleport to get back to mid, and, you know, she's died, but she's not going to lose that much. You know, after she clears this massive wave, she's actually going to be ahead in farm. Nidalee looking for a play, questionable, I would say, with Cho'Gath still being there, misses his Q, re-engage happening. Cho'Gath will probably end up surviving this. They're going to go very low for it. Maybe he's not. No, he's not, but they have taken a tower damage, but I think that won't be anything more. Nidalee does get herself at least, I think, 1 Dark Harvest stack, but she may have got another. I honestly am surprised how quick that Cho'Gath died, and with all of that just happened, has to be said that the Camille's in not a bad position now. Like, yes, she died for first blood, but she got back in time to get okay farm, and then she gets herself a kill on the Cho'Gath. That's not the worst situation in the world. That's actually not that bad. So Graves goes back and gives himself 3 long swords. I still personally find it funny, and I don't know if anybody else does, but like, Riot have tried in the past, at least, to try and make interesting item builds, or not like monotonous item builds that feel boring to do. But a lot of the AD item builds are incredibly boring, because most of them are just long swords. You know, legit is most of at least the first 2 to 3 items most AD champions buy are majority compiled off long swords. It's a bit boring. But yeah, so anyway, clear is continuing. Is worth knowing. So Moss Stomper for Graves, Scorch Claw Pup for Nidalee. Moss Stomper still seems the one to go. It just gives you, you know, the others give you damage, but Moss Stomper gives you survivability, and a champion like Graves has a lot of damage, so you don't, it sounds weird to say, but you don't need more when your kit and your items give you enough. You get more survivability on Moss Stomper, because again, what it gives a shield, a permanent shield that regenerates after killing monsters out of combat, and it's also, while you have the shield, 20% tenacity and slow resist. That's amazing for a champion like Graves, who needs to be on top of people to do any damage. So it's why Moss Stomper is so effective, because Scorch Claw, obviously it does, it slows and damages enemy champions, but that's it. It doesn't give you tenacity. Tenacity is one of the best stats of League. Meanwhile, top lane Teemo's dead. That is Nautilus roaming from bot lane, by the way, which I would say is a little bit early for a Nautilus to be doing, especially when this is all happening, but hopefully, I think what they're, you know, aiming for is they're not going to tower dive the Kai'Sa. But Dragon is now being done. Nidalee was thinking about going over to the Dragon. I don't know if she actually got vision of it. I presume she does, because she's like wanting to be around the area. Is she going to go for a steal? She's going for a... She went for a hook, but to no avail, and Graves now will get a Scuttle Crab. So one thing is worth mentioning about this specific matchup is you're watching the two, I would say, nearly highest farming, like farm per minute junglers in League. Nidalee is early game, very power farming heavy, has probably, she might still have the quickest farm clear in the game. If not, she's thereabouts. And Graves also is a power farming jungler. So Nautilus is in the area. He tries to do his best to get there, but doesn't get there in time. Very nice coordinated dive from red team. And now they're even going to try and go for the Nautilus. You have to be very careful. Look at the dance, by the way, of tower aggro. They play it perfectly. Nearly. Jhin, I think, got a bit caught in tower aggro there, but they will end up killing both the bot lane. Camille mid is on her way down. She will ult. Does get a shutdown. Flashes for the Heimer. Heimer flashes himself. I think Graves is probably also going to die here. I'd be very surprised if not. And if I was Heimer, I would leave, because you just don't want to give her a double kill. But they're actually going to attempt to kill her. They do kill her, but Camille does get another. Okay, that's not too bad. That's not the worst situation in the world, to be fair. Okay, so Umbral Glaive first item. Some people may go like, why Umbral? So Umbral is actually a really, really strong item, but not in the long term. So what I would say about Umbral Glaive, if you are playing Graves and you're in late game and it's 6 items, Umbral Glaive is probably the item you'll eventually get rid of, but it's very powerful in early game because it's cheap. And it also obviously is very good against anti-warding. That's its ability. So that's very good in the early game to get rid of wards to then do more ganks. But it doesn't have the absolute late game power because, again, it's not a very expensive item, so it doesn't have as many stats as other items. So you probably will eventually get rid of it, but yeah. So Nidalee goes straight to top lane and ends up ganking Teemo. And they are probably both... Oh, he's going for it. I was about to say they're probably both going to live, but nope. Graves flashes, goes for the instant combo. Doesn't give any chance or time for a Fiora to react. Nidalee is questionable there, I would say. Very close. Graves doesn't have ult, but nearly. Is he going to stick around to try and get a snipe? Probably not, because I don't think it'll do enough damage. But there we go. So far, nothing crazy impressive, I will say, from this. This is pretty standard Graves. But one thing is apparent is the Graves hasn't taken all the kills. He's been involved in 5 kills, and before what just happened in bot lane, and I think another kill happened somewhere else in mid, maybe. He was involved in 5 out of, what, the 6 kills, and now 3 more kills have happened, so he's now involved in 5 out of the 9. But that's what this Graves has done quite nicely. Apart really from top lane, he's helped mid lane, and he's helped bot lane, and they now are winning their lanes respectively. And that's what a good jungler can do. You know, there's 2 types of junglers, and not always you're playing... It's not champion specific. So you can play Graves and take all the kills and decide, I am the solo carry this game, and you can do that. You know, you can do that on a Graves. There are some junglers you don't want to do that on. Like if you're playing Sejuani jungle, you don't want to take every kill because you're not ultimately a carry. But you also can play a champion like Graves in that kind of more weirdly support way. Why? The reason why you can actually pull it off with Graves, nice sidestep there. Wow, that was really nice. 3v1, what can Graves do? He has to make his way down for bot lane, and he's doing it really well. Lovely W, angry B emote. But why can Graves pull off that kind of more, let's say, support playstyle as a carry champion? Because he's a power farmer. So because he's actually getting a lot of gold through farming, you can actually give a lot of the kills away, but maintain your power farming, and it's kind of a win-win. So he's making his way back bot lane. He does get the Nautilus. He's going to go for the Kai'Sa. Does go for the little combo there, but doesn't actually get the damage. So is end up going to survive. Or Kai'Sa's then going to survive. Who is that? Nidalee is still bot lane. Tower's going down. Now, that is one thing I will say that I have noticed. I've watched a couple Graveses here or there. I don't know when my last Graves video was. Graves jungles, I would say, are quite known for taking towers. And some people may find that annoying, but it is weirdly part of, I would say, a Graves jungle character. Is how they get really, really ahead on gold. Unfortunate W timing by Cho'Gath. He didn't quite get it quick enough so she could get her eat away. And when she's had partial, when she's used half of it, she can always use the other part. So Dragon will be coming up, or is now up. I don't actually have the timers on, so should we put those on? There we go. So yeah, it is a Mountain Dragon. So it was first Infernal, now it's Mountain. So we'll obviously see what the dragon it is. Sorry. The voice is very, very croaky. Whoa, nice spear by Nidalee. So it is worth mentioning about Teemo. I still find it funny to this day. And some people, what I'm about to say, literally, nice play by Graves. Some people will not believe what I'm about to say. If you're newer to the game, you probably won't get it. Whoa, 4v1 top lane. Camille ult. Nice. Oh my god, that survival was insane. Nice play by Heimer, has to be said. That was more Heimer than Graves. Good survival, though. That was using a lot of the enemy resources, including Nautilus Flash and stuff like that. And he ends up living. That is going to be a little bit tilting for the enemy team. Heimer goes for his tower, goes for his ulti. Camille still in the area, Wing, spear. Boom! Big snipe by Graves, gets the Fiora. Very nice. Again, this is really intense, but awesome to see. Meanwhile, Cho'Gath, you can see on the minimap, is actually going for the dragon. Not a bad thing to do. Usually, I would actually say don't go for objectives as a mid laner, but as a Cho'Gath, you have your ultimate that is as powerful as Smite, so it's actually okay. It's actually quite time efficient. You know both junglers are top lane. I can go do that dragon, and it's great. So another Chem Dragon. So it is worth mentioning, I think it is still active. So obviously Chem Dragon came back to the game. It was first released last year. It was terrible. Everybody knew it was terrible. And it took Riot about a month or maybe two to remove it from the game. And then it went into being remade, reworked, and it was. And now that's what this version is. For those that are wondering, if you're ever playing normals or ranked at the moment, and it's like, why is it always Chem Dragon? It's on purpose. So they actually put additional weighting on that dragon. So normally, their percentages of it being an infernal or an ocean or a mountain, they'd all roughly be the same. But they've actually upped the chance of getting that specific dragon because they want to get data from it. They want to see, is it healthy now? And the only way of doing that, getting enough data during preseason, is kind of forcing it. So that is why, if you're curious, why are you getting so many Chem Dragons? That is the reason. The Graves going for an invade, which again, fairly common thing. Nautilus ult coming through, but Heimer's in the area. So both supports here. Gore-Drinker being used. Oh, even high challenger, best players in the world's fail flash occasionally. It's why I've always said I like doing these challenge spectates, because it shows the human aspect of the game. Not all players are robots. Not all players can play perfectly 24/7. It's like I played a game of Annie was uploaded the other day, and a guy left a comment going, "Oh, not your best game." Like, I think as a way to kind of say, what's that about, or what was up with this. And I did reply of going, yeah, you can't always play perfect. I think there is that weird, and it's not even just towards YouTubers or content creators. I think a lot of people put unrealistic expectations even on their teammates. You're not always going to play perfect, ever. You think of it, I'm not playing on my main account at the moment. I'm playing obviously on the Nuzlocke series. But if, say, I wasn't a content creator and I'm like, no, I'm going to keep playing on my main account, I'm feeling like death. I'm fighting off COVID right now. And I'm not going to be playing my best right now. That is just not realistic. That's the thing that I think some people forget. And that's just my example. It could be anything. You could have had bad news in your life, but you're playing League to get away from that bad news. You're probably not going to play your best. You could be really tired, but you just wanted to play a game of League. It's your downtime. You could have had... Let's use another one. My example. You could have a fairly young puppy who is amazing and lovely, but very draining, and you could be a bit more tired than you normally are, but you're still playing ranked. You're not going to play your best. You're just not going to. I think, again, there are weird, unrealistic expectations on people when it comes to maybe not just League of Legends, but video games in general. So, gank coming in here. Nice by Heimer. Some people may ask, like, what do I think about Heimer support? So, initially, I will admit, I wasn't a big fan of it, because it's me. Hello, I'm HuzzyGames. I'm a fairly old boomer League of Legends player that gets grumpy if anybody does anything new. I'm actually not that... I actually don't mind it anymore, if I'm completely honest. I actually think it's pretty... When I've actually thought about the character and, like, what does he actually do, I think it actually is fairly good in support, because it's powerful in support because of its turrets. You know, one of the negatives, and we have to always say, one of the negatives of having a Yuumi on your team as an AD carry is in your lane phase, it's so much harder because they only can focus you. But with having a Heimer support, it's actually the opposite, because having a Heimer support, you never want to leave... Look at the damage, by the way. You'll never want to leave his turrets up. So yes, the negative is you're giving them a little bit of gold each time they kill a tower or a turret from Heimer, but instead of it just being, oh, it's the AD carrying support, well, also, if Heimer in the middle of a fight puts a turret down, a bunch of players will be like, no, I want to kill that turret before I kill Heimer, or, in this example, Jhin. It just puts that extra dynamic of safety towards having him in bot lane. So the more I thought about it, the more it actually weirdly makes sense. Now, he's still not, on current time, technically, he's not balanced to be a support, technically. What does that mean? Just so, though, because some people be like, I don't get, what does that mean? So being balanced to support means you have high base damage on average and low scaling. So because on average, supports don't always get the most money. They do more in the early game, and because they're not going to get probably, like, you know, most games, they're not going to get to 6 items, and they're not going to be building, building full AP mage. They don't give them the best scaling. So he, right now, Heimer is still balanced towards being a solo laner, but there is also a weird advantage to that with your playing him in bot lane. And what is that advantage, you know? It's an advantage and a disadvantage. The disadvantage is if lane phase goes badly, you're going to be really behind as a Heimerdinger, because you need items to scale. That's the type of character you are. You're technically a solo lane type of champion. So you need items to scale, and you're not getting the gold to get the items because your lane phase has gone badly. The positive, however, is if your lane phase goes well, you basically have another mage carry on your team. Now, again, a negative is you're technically not really a support. Are you actually going to be helping your AD carry as much as a typical support? No, but so, you know, a Brand doesn't, a Zyra doesn't, but people still play those and have done for ages. So this is a great example, by the way, of Graves on the aggression foot now. He's 10-1-7 in the challenger game. So how has he got fed? You know, that's what I wanted to kind of notice. In essence, we're not seeing anything fancy. We are seeing a Graves be quite calculated. In the early game, he didn't take all the kills. He got his team ahead, was power farming, and he's kept that up. If you've noticed, his farm is the highest in the game. He has kept up the power farming. He's also taken gold in little places that you probably won't realize. He's taken a tower here or there. That adds gold. He's taking objectives. He's counter jungling a little bit. That takes gold from Nidalee straight to him. He's doing these little things that add up. And that's, again, ultimately, what is the differences between higher ratings of play? The little differences. They add up. So, yeah. So, he's going aggressive. Nautilus is still... I think Nautilus took a little moment then to actually realize what was going on. Look at the damage. He's going to try and kill one. Fiora's completed a right ultimate, but he is level 14 as Graves when Fiora herself, I think, was level, like, 12, maybe. It was very powerful. it is worth being said, and you know, we can't hide away from it. There are 3 types of champions that I would say are very strong in League of Legends right now. 1, tanks. Some people will agree with me, some people will disagree with me, that's fine. Tanks, I think, are very strong. Number 2, tank killers. So tank killers have actually gained strength because tanks have gained strength. So some people won't see the strength of tanks if, like, they main Vayne and they go Kraken Slayer and Vayne W every game. Yeah, you melt a tank. It doesn't matter that a Mundo has 10,000 health or a Sion has 10,000 health. A Vayne will absolutely murder it anyway. And yet any champion that can buy Bladeler and King or Divine Sunderer, tanks aren't really that powerful because you can counter that. But those are the 2 types so far that I would say are strong. So tanks and anti-tank champions. And the third category, healing champions. And I don't mean like a Soraka. I don't mean like a support healer. I mean champions that can, like Graves, buy GRAVES. I think healing is still quite a big problem. You know, champions like, you know, and some of these categories do overlap, by the way, like Fiora heals like crazy, but also as a tank killer. Aatrox is crazy healing. So those are my main 3. Let me know if there's any other categories that you guys think are a little bit too strong right now. So finally, another thing that is a strength. I know we're talking about Graves technically, but also on Heimer. Heimer gives you 3 Barons. Like, genuinely, he is the best, probably the best Baron taking or aiding champion in the game. His turrets do crazy DPS. They also take health, obviously hits, so you know you're not taking the damage, and it's constant DPS. It's a very powerful thing. So 12, 1, 8 Graves, 4 items complete. Umbral Glaive obviously first, then Gore Drinker, and then obviously he's got Black Cleaver and Spirit Shojin. Has yet to complete tier 2 boots. Now, one thing I will say of why has he not completed tier 2 boots? It's most likely strategic, and look, he survives that, which he probably shouldn't have. Strategic because everybody on the enemy team has to go into this Graves. Every single one. Fiora is melee. Nidlee's ultimately melee when she wants to all in. Camille's melee. Kai'Sa's pretty low range in modern day, and Nautilus is melee. So he doesn't need to catch them when they'll be coming on him. He will get tier 2 boots eventually, but when he can complete these more powerful items, they're just better to do. But there we go. 13, 1, 10 on Graves. Nothing fancy. He just did everything well with also maintaining power farming. So that's how you play him. I've learned a couple things here or there. Also worth mentioning, I don't know if we actually can see. Oh, no, I don't think we can. Can we? Here we go. Pause. Yeah. See. All right. So his runes. Fleet Footwork, which he nearly healed 5k health this game, which is ridiculous. He also healed... he only healed 526 from Gore Drinker this game, but that's a lot of healing from Fleet. Triumph. More healing. Alacrity. Last Stand. And then he's gone Treasure Hunter. Zombie Ward. Attack Speed. Attack Damage. Armor. But there we go. That is Graves Jungle in a nutshell. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you're all having a good festive season. Obviously, even with how I am at the moment, I am still planning and going to try my best to maintain 2 videos a day every single day here on the channel, because that's what I do. You know, that is the commitment that I've got to the YouTube channel. So thank you guys so much. If you did enjoy it, please do throw a like on it, all that stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime. I know how to unleash eternal power.